Good evening, race fans. Welcome to Racers Elite Network. Tonight, we come off of the high banks, off of the oval, and we're going to do a little road course racing. And to dial up the excitometer, we're going to Long Beach, California, where it is hot. The racetrack temp right now is even hotter. As the stars of Racers Elite Next Gen Series get ready to do battle here on this treacherous and tricky and, quite frankly, worn-out racing circuit. Joining me up top in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth, your new co-host here every Thursday night moving forward. Sean, it's a privilege to have you up here. Welcome, and thank God you're at Old Road Course age, which I did not know, because this is my first time being here. What can we expect? What type of challenges will these drivers face over the course of this race tonight?
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. We're doing a little left and right turning here. This is a street circuit, so these are streets, everyday streets that the citizens of Los Angeles are driving over every day. So it is very bumpy. It is not meant for racing. There's multiple surfaces on this track. It's gonna make for there's gonna be a lot of slipping and sliding, but I think it should be an exciting race.
Absolutely, I could not agree with you more. As that field now starts to get racked and stacked behind that iRacing.com pace truck. However, before we officially kick off the right and left-hand turn high flight action, let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's race information. Throw that up on the big screen as we always do. Again, as Mr. Rogers said, Los Angeles, California, the place. The weather, 76 degrees ambient air temperature. A couple clicks below 80, that's enough to keep everything nice and heated out there, and that track temp is going to reflect that. 35% relative humidity, clear skies. That's going to be baking all the heat in the asphalt. Winds out of the west at 9 miles an hour, could be gusting to 12 at times. However, a road course, those speeds are going to be on the lower side. Those winds pretty much a non-factor. Fast Repair is going to have one in the back pocket should you need it. So be careful out there on this racetrack. 17x incident limit. Track officially clocks in at 1.95 miles. However, it's advertised as 2 miles in length. Track temperature down a little bit from where it was, and thank God, Sean, as it's now 107 degrees Fahrenheit, still over the century mark. But as it comes down, those cars will have a little bit more bite out there on the surface.
Yeah, this concrete is going to get hot, and these guys are going to be it's going to be slick on the concrete, but once you get to the asphalt portion, you will have a little bit more grip, and so that's definitely something to watch as they switch between different surfaces of each individual roadway.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup. And Sean, I'm telling you, some of these new guys are really making a name for themselves here in the early going as the field now begins to roll for the first time here tonight. Evan in the 68 machine, he is going to be your pole sitter, and he has been in the conversation everywhere we've landed thus far. Outside of him, Nathan Brzezowski, I hope I said that right, in the the 07 machine out of Troutman. Brandon Honeycutt, longtime veteran of the series from Elizabethtown, Tennessee, he's going to roll off here third, while Diego Rodriguez, the pride of Michigan, going to start here in fifth. Edward Jurgen going to roll off in seventh, while Chris Wold going to start in that P8 position. Gary Bowman in ninth, while the 55 ride of Truth Ho going to round out your top 10. Andrew Teft in the 98 out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island, going to start in 11th, while Leroy going to roll off here 12th. SRM's own Alan Bergen in the 00, good for a 13th place starting position, while the 41 of Aaron Marquez going to roll off here 15th. Teft, the Alex version, going to slot in that 16th place position. Hayden Malcolm, Christopher Pendle, look for him to come from the back to the front as he starts here in that 17th place position. And rounding out the 19 drivers, they're going to take the initial green flags. We have a little bit of a bottle up. And coming through that hairpin green flag apparently right on the other side as we are hot on the loud pedal already. And Sean, right off the bat, not knowing this race course is kicking me in the teeth as we get going.
Yeah, it's very common in all these races to always go single file through the hairpin, even on your pace lap, because you can't do it at 10 miles an hour. I definitely do not expect to see any passes there, but yeah, definitely bottle up to start this race. But these guys are off and running.
Off and running, and those glorious V8s now coming to life here Oh, these tires, when they are cold, it's like an ice skating rink out there. The couple laps I did turn, Sean, you have to be very, very respectful of that loud pedal. And the same with the Biders as they almost door check each other. And the 3 car is a swan dives it directly into the concrete. That is Troy Thomas, who had high expectations out of Boone, North Carolina. And that front of that Camaro is all, for intents and purposes, jacked up.
Yeah, luckily these guys have a fast repair, but that's one of the slicker turns here on this track. And coming out on these cold tires, yep, you just got a little too aggressive with the loud pedal, and around she went.
Also getting a report here that multiple drivers may have been in an incident. We're going to keep it on this battle for the lead right now, as sometimes with these road courses, when you have these abrupt changes in velocity, that'll trigger an incident in the black box. However, not the case out there on the racetrack. I'll tell you what, these two new guys putting on a show, a little Ford on Chevrolet action. What do you like in here, what you're seeing right now?
Well, if I'm Nathan Brzezowski sitting behind him, I'm just letting my tires come up to temp. I'm following him. But, if these guys, have equal pace, we're just in for a good show. But it's early. We got 45 laps. No need to get too aggressive. There's no room for error here. If you slip up, you don't slide off into the grass. You're surrounded by concrete everywhere. So you definitely just want to kind of relax and maybe even try to get them on strategy later in the race.
Speaking of strategy, as we're on board now with that second place car, who is working about a car length and a half at times behind your leader, what type of strategies are you looking to deploy here? How are you going to try to use that to your advantage?
It depends on how the fuel plays out. I did not get a chance to check the fuel mileage on what one run's going to be, but it's going to be getting in and out of the pits is going to be important to try to jump yourself ahead of the guys ahead of you.
Absolutely, well said. And remember, folks, we're not getting a full fuel cell here. Oh, as he took a peek there on the inside, however, was not able to just carry the momentum there. Does get a great corner off, and that's going to be a little side-by-side John Force special. However, Nathan thinks better of it, and as you were saying, Sean, early in the race, just get everything up to temperature, kind of feel out your race car, and then, once you feel confident, start to push forward.
Or you can just do it now.
Or you just do it now.
Just do it on the second lap and dive it in. Very clean pass. And I look for these. Hopefully these guys can keep this up. This is some good racing here up front.
Yeah, this is a surprise. I did not expect this. And don't look now, but Diego Rodriguez just went the hot lap. A 1:25.04. This Dark Horse Mustang that quite literally scares the bejesus out of other competition at times, not because he's a weapon, just because he's so darn good. And he is closing in on these guys. He's a couple tenths quicker. Your leader last time by a 1:25.21 to a Diego Rodriguez lap of 1:25.04. Could happen.
With those guys battling, it's going to slow him down. So he's just sitting there kind of hanging out, letting those two letting those two battle, because that's going to bring down both their lap times and hopefully bring them right up there to the front.
That would be the game plan, or at least you would hope. And one thing I'm already noticing already, the brake package on this next gen, one of the big upgrades over the cars of the past, and already we're seeing that ominous orange glow out of the front rotors, and we're barely 3 laps into this thing.
A lot of heavy braking zones in here. They're really hard on the brakes, especially coming up here going into turn 1. This is the fastest part of the track, so you're definitely going to see some glow getting real hard down on the brakes here. But that's good. You get some heat in the brakes, get some heat in the tires, and then we're gonna see the lap times drop, especially as they burn off fuel.
I'll tell you what, Sean, you are a road course whisperer. That time by, the top 3 busted into the 1:24 second bracket, right on cue, just as you said that. As we continue to see a little bit of separation now between our top 3. Nathan, your second place starter, has taken over P1, carries the torch. Your pole sitter slots back to second. Rodriguez currently in third, tied for being the biggest mover of the race. Then Ed Yergin silently sits in fourth out of New Jersey. Good-looking paint scheme on that Camaro tonight. Then you have Gary Bowman, a similar situation in that Chevrolet. He's able to garnish 3 positions here. Remember, folks, we're going 45 laps here. That is the scheduled distance. Road course racing rules within Racers Elite, Sean, does apply, which means we're not going to have any yellow flags throughout the entirety of this race unless we have a catastrophic event on the racetrack that completely blocks the course. So we're going lean, mean, and green. So pit strategy going to be even more important without having the benefit of coming down under a stage or a yellow flag condition. So not only are you going to have to execute on pit road, you're going to have to do it to the best of your ability, because you can really lose some time there if, big time problems.
Yeah, it's hard coming around that corner there. It's blind, so it looks like the 41 may have slipped up a little bit, and the 13 just had no idea that there was an issue around that corner. That's one of the things here you cannot see around those concrete barriers.
Yeah, we went VHS mode there because we happened to catch that live. Let's jump on board with Brandon Honeycutt in that number 13 TRD powered machine. Let's go ahead, jump into the cockpit with him and roll playback. We're going to watch this at speed the first time. Here we go.
Oh, it looks like he didn't have a problem. He was on track. He looked like he was coming out of the pits. Maybe just had to use a fast repair. I think that's what I heard him say over the radio. And that's just a product of this weird pit exit. You have to go so far out and turn. It's just really hard for the cars coming at speed to really check up and stay low enough, because it's very narrow in this part of the track.
Yes, it is. In fact, you're pretty much already at the concrete exiting pit road. In fact, he gets a piece of the concrete, and that almost brings him down to a stop, and you can see Honeycutt tries to do everything he can to get woed down in time. Just as you said, it was a blind corner. He was already pretty much on top of him before it was too late. Both these drivers able to continue on, however, only gets worse for the driver of that Chevrolet coming off of pit road, because he indeed used a fast repair, and already more damage served up to that ZL1 as we now send it back to the live side of things, rejoining our leaders, the 07 and the 68. I want to thank all of you for being here with us on Racers Elite Network. Make sure you smash the like button, ring the bell, come home to 7 days of high-fly, high-octane racing action. And Sean, if you do that, you're not going to miss any of it every time we're live in prime time.
Absolutely. Now here we see the two leaders. Still not a lot of gap between them. While we were watching that incident, it appears that Diego, who was running in third, who was right there, has dropped off a little bit. So it looks like these two are keeping each other in check. And so we'll, this might come down to a strategy call. Who can take less fuel? Are you going to try to save a little bit by lifting and coasting? Any second you can gain on the pits, can flip this race.
And I think that might be what the 20 is doing. The Michigan man, not you, because I know you're from Michigan too. He likes to roll the dice and play the fuel strategy. We've seen him do this before, and he's really backed off his lap times. I mean, he was right there with the leaders not long ago, to your point, and now he's running high 126s. In fact, let's jump on board with him and see if there's any telltale signs you can pick up on.
He definitely just clutched through that corner. I don't know if you've seen the RPMs. Let's see what he does in the next one. Yeah, it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell if he's clutching. I don't know if they're going to want to be doing that. That just adds an extra pedal that you need to be playing with. Yeah, it looks like he's just running slow and steady laps, trying to keep it safe.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Sean, you and I kind of talked before we went live. There could be a good amount of attrition in this race as well. In fact, we've already seen some hiccups in the early going as Diego's just doing his thing right now, racing the racetrack, not getting caught racing himself and the competition around him as he silently sits in that third and final podium position as we widen things back out one more time.
Went really wide in that corner, and you heard that tire slide. When I was doing my practice laps, you had to kind of lift and play with the throttle there to try to keep it down. And I wonder if we're gonna see him burning those left side tires, something we don't really say on ovals, kind of sliding through that area without lifting. He's just straight skipping across that concrete.
right? And that's acting like a cheese grater on a wheel of Swiss cheese. And typically this next gen doesn't have a lot of fall off on the road course side of things, but I guarantee you if you do that, consistently, you're going to get some wear and some extra heat in those Goodyears as well.
Yeah, and tires, iRacing is not quite like real life where tires mean a whole lot on road courses, but you can overheat them, and if you are too hard on them, you can wear them. So in a 45-lap race, I would almost not expect tires from any of the leaders, but if, Diego comes in for one of his stops and notices that he's having no grip, he's going to have to take a new fresh set of cold tires, which take 2 laps to heat up, which are going to be 2 seconds slower than maybe some of the guys that are not taking tires.
And that's a great point you bring up. And, this is something I've kind of indirectly learned from you. I haven't, exactly asked you, but been inside the voice chat with you. With 45 laps the scheduled distance, would you anticipate taking tires, or are you running this whole race on the set you started with?
I'm probably running the whole race on the set I started with, but I would keep that in mind from the beginning, knowing that this is what we got. So I don't you don't get too aggressive and burning them up because once you get them down to like 70%, these tires lose all of their grip, and an already slick racetrack with no tire wear left. You're gonna definitely be slipping and sliding around here.
Well said. So basically you got grip and then it goes away quick, fast, and in a hurry, as we now have lap number 8 officially written into the history books, working on lap number 9 here out of Long Beach, California. While we have a moment, I'm going to go ahead and start going through this black box because it is lighting up like Christmas tree morning. This thing is telling me we got big time mayhem all over the racetrack. Let's first go back and see what happened to the 00 of Alan Bergen.
Oh no, Alan, come on, buddy.
Oh, this is 3 wide already. This does not look good. You got the white car, that's Alan in the middle, then the nitrous cowboy, and the 3 going to be on the outside. And then, well, hey, 3 Chevrolets in a blanket. What could go wrong here? Let's roll it. And nothing did go wrong. It was just that slowdown.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm seeing a lot of glitching here. I don't know if maybe Alan's having some connection issues and it's kind of pinging on your black box, but looks like he's still rolling so far anyway. Nice South Park scheme too.
Very nice looking. Hey, he caught that. He was wondering if you were going to see that. And I told him I bet you Sean sees that in no time. Christopher Pendle will go ahead and gamble on this one here as well. And again, it's that hairpin corner that seems to be triggering a lot of these incidences on the racetrack. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the live side of things. And that's one of those nuances we have to deal with on the broadcast when we come to a road course like this, as SDK is more configured for speedway type racing. And I don't think you can adjust those triggers because I have tried multiple times. Little wheel hop there, getting up on the sausage patty for the 20, helping that car rotate just a little bit more. Check this out, Rogers. Brzezowski is starting to check out a Dodge here a little bit. He has set sail, has a 2.20 second advantage over the 68. And in fact, now already have some cars going a lap down. Alex Teft, if you recall, a big part of last week's conversation, already off of the pace, as he's just trying
and you see,
go ahead.
And you see that right there. Now they're starting to get lap traffic. It doesn't necessarily mean that the Nathan's pulling away. He might have just got lucky with lap traffic. As you see, Evan caught traffic at a bad spot, and the lead grew even more from there. So as we got more lap traffic here coming up ahead. So it could either close up or get even further away as they try to maneuver through this lap traffic in these narrow street circuit.
That's right, narrow street circuit, and plus you don't have the visibility. A lot of times you don't know. We have problems as one of the race cars that are completely locked it up into the corner right in front of your leader. Well, I guess that's one way to get rid of the lap traffic, but you don't want that happening right off your front bumper. Oh, the 57 completely misses the... Sean, go ahead. Take it.
Oh, well, Well, when you come through, it looks like the 57. It's super bumpy through there, so if you try to get back on the throttle aggressively, and you're in first gear, so those wheels are trying to spin, and he just kind of slipped it around, but that was perfect for our leader. He couldn't have asked for any more. Easy pass, and on he goes.
Easy pass on that one, and then you had the other incident that happened where almost a race car came right back across his nose, and I'm not sure you could have fit a sheet of paper between them, as those are the type of incidences there that'll really get the blood pressure boiling. However, no harm, no foul. That Camaro charges on and still has a good amount of pace in it as he continues to stretch it out over Evan, currently in second. Diego Rodriguez is really starting to bleed some time. Now north of a 13-second deficit between himself and the leader. That dark horse just continues to do what he needs to do. Edward Jurgen.
Yeah.
Truth Hoke runs out the top 5, Sean.
No, I was going to say for Diego, I wonder if, I mentioned that he was sliding those tires. I wonder if it's really starting to catch up with him. And on this first pit stop, he might have to take a fresh set of tires. And then, now knowing what he knows, maybe take care of him a little better, next time around.
I mean, he may need a pair. Oh, as we go on board with Diego, that, I'll tell you what, that completely whited out Chevrolet, and I believe that is the 96.
He locks up again. We've seen him lock up. Oh, and he gets into the tires there. We've seen him lock up. We were on our leader's view. Oh, he's pulling in the pits. He's got some problems. But he's been locking up the past couple times we were on board. I wonder if he, the first one, get those tires really hot, and then you're never going to lose that, you couldn't cool them down, and it's just going to keep locking them up. So maybe he's going to get his faster pair, get a new set of tires, and try to regroup here.
Yeah, you can see the front geometry of that race car is all out of sorts. Bent control arms, upper, lowers. I'm not seeing him utilize that fast repair, though. I am seeing 4 Dr. Feelgoods going on that race car. Perhaps he's going to sit there in the box. No, he is putting 4 on it, down and away. He still feels like he can go out there and, well, as he comes, well, that's one way to do it. He thought better of it and towed right back to the box.
I just hope the tow truck, the iRacing tow truck, I hope they didn't drag him all the way around and gave him like a 3-minute
penalty
tow versus the 40 seconds or whatever it would take had he stopped behind his box.
Sean, that would be my luck. My God, did you see how Nate just got around that hairpin?
Yeah, he's just whipping the rear end around there, and he's just got to be so gentle on the throttle, and that takes a lot of practice. So you can definitely tell that he's put in a lot of laps here.
Yeah, he looks very confident, and quite frankly, he is in the zone right now. That 07 is doing the dance, and not the I'm hanging on for my life dance. He's got the jig going. The right and left, that car is fluently moving in the direction it needs to rotate to make maximum time through these corners and intricate sections of this circuit. He is putting on a heater right now and continues to light up the scoreboard, being the fastest car out there. Here's an interesting fact, Sean. 14 laps into this, the 07's best lap, a 1:24.01. Last time by, a 1:24.97. So we're starting to see a little give up out of these tires. We're going to have to monitor that. Maybe these cars have a little more tire wear than we expect. As we take a look now to Diego Rodriguez, let's jump on board with him, see if we can see how this race car's handling out there, or perhaps if he's starting to run into some tire problems as well.
Well, this will be the telltale sign here. Coming into this corner, it's a big braking zone, and gets it down. Using that engine brake, take the shift. You want using a little bit of the curb. Oh, maybe a little missed it a bit. It looks like he's not getting any front bite out of those front tires here. Let's see how he goes through the hairpin, which is one of the slowest corners you'll ever see in a next-gen car. Dropping down to he got down to a 29 mile an hour there. Yeah, this car was definitely not meant to go around the hairpin at Long Beach. I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you what. I don't have one of those fancy 1,080-degree steering wheels. I only get 900 degrees of rotation. My car does not cannot turn tight enough through that section of the racetrack. I cannot get it without hitting the concrete barrier.
Yeah, you're spinning the wheel like you're trying to drive a bus, aren't
Pretty
you?
much. I had to put the little ball spinner on it so I can whip it really quick, if you know what I'm talking about, like the
there you
commercial
go.
truck drivers have.
Yeah, exactly. Here we come. This is one of the slickest corners. It's off camber. It's super bumpy, and it looks wider than it is. You gotta be very gentle on the throttle. You see the bumps, and you can hear the wheels spinning. Setting up here for this turn, you want to get close to the wall, and you see that modal sign exactly the way you tracked out, because those barriers are maybe 2 feet out further from the concrete wall. So when you exit, you want to make sure that you're leaving, that you're exiting past those tires, just to use all the track and get yourself a better run coming down that long straight.
Great stuff there, Sean. And again, I've ran 4 or 5 laps here prior to this race, so I really appreciate you being up here. One thing I did notice, getting back to that section of the race course you were just talking about, it seems very inviting, right? Because it's one of the only sections where you have a wide piece of real estate to begin with. So it almost gives you more confidence as a driver to drive it in there. But you said it's off camber. It's also downhill as well, and that really makes the race car get light in the back end, want to step out. So you really have to pay attention, especially if you try to carry some extra speed through there. This car will step out on you really quick. That's what I noticed in a handful of laps around this place.
Yeah, and with the bumps too, I mean, your car is bouncing up and down, so you're not gripped to the track, and so it definitely, the car definitely wants to slide out of wants to go around in that section.
Tell you what, I slapped the wall about 5 or 6 times in there in a full just slot. Ooh.
Looks like the 41, same spot as the last time we've seen him wrecking. Looks like he may have made a mistake. And that's a very hard braking zone. That, like I said, that was the fastest place on the track. And it's really hard to get her down. Let's see what happened to him.
That's where the smoke came from, and you're right, he just could not get it mowed down in time, and thank God Truth Hoke was a little further back, and otherwise, I mean, he would have ate the business end of that Chevrolet.
Yeah, another situation where he's sitting in a blind corner area, and you got to be prepared.
It's the 41 already almost loses it again there. In fact, I'm going to get the camera off of him, and I don't want to put any more stress on that race car driver, as these guys have their hands full already to begin with. One driver we touched on briefly, that South Park paint scheme out of House Springs, Missouri, the 00 Alan Bergen. You know what, had a pretty good qualifying effort here, started just outside of the top 10. However, he has slid back a little bit, currently resides in that 17th place position. Hayden Malcolm, the closest competition to him, about 12 seconds up the road.
Yeah, and he's, hopefully, he's struggling around here a little bit, but hopefully we can turn it around. And we see Kenny on the back there. Hopefully nobody kills Kenny and plows through his back end there.
That's what I was thinking. If I had a South Park paint scheme, I'm not putting Kenny on the race car. I think that's just
absolutely not, especially the rear end.
That's just too inviting.
Yeah. Oh my God! You killed Kenny.
You bad driver.
There you go. Way to censor it. I wasn't gonna go there. I didn't know how to do it.
And sometimes that works good. Other times I just look really dumb. It just depends.
That was a good one.
Send it back up here to the point. This Camaro looks like it has a completely different setup in it than virtually any other car out there on the racetrack. We know that's not the case because it's a fixed setup. It's just incredible how much different the race car looks when you put a road ace or someone with a lot of experience here. It just looks like it's night and day different. I just can't get over how well planted this car looks into the racetrack virtually compared to everyone else.
When I watch these, even watching, road races back that I betted, it looks like, it's super smooth and he's ripping through the corners, but I guarantee it's like watching a duck on water. It looks like it's just gracefully floating. He is working hard in there on the brakes and on the wheel. He is all over it, and he is comfortable hanging the rear end out and getting a little loose. That's a man with a lot of confidence in his car. As we see right behind him, Evan Guillemette has kind of closed the gap. He had dropped off. He was up to like about 5 seconds back at one point, but he is back chasing him down. So Nathan cannot he cannot relax there in that '07 car. Oh, we almost have a problem again exiting pit. That seems to be the calamity corner when I was expecting it to be the hairpin. It's turn one apparently.
Turn one has been almost disastrous parts corner. And we're going to engage the flux capacitor here. We're going to go VHS mode. I mean, watch how close this was to disaster for the guy running in P2. We're going to go to the up close and personal camera just because you have to with this situation. Sean, watch this.
Oh, jeez. that takes a lot of that's a lot of give and take. If you're that car coming out of the pits, you're worried about this, and if you're the 68 car and you see him, you definitely want to try to keep it down, which means you got to get on the brakes harder. But in these cars, man, you can just be a passenger, and he was so close.
That is
so lucky.
That is too up close and he barely fit that thing through there.
Yeah, and that's a heads-up play for the 57. He had to have seen him coming and get down. Let the second place guy go. Don't cause a. Don't take out second there.
Hopefully, maybe he was listening to Little John Get Low or something. Tell you what, that first time he's down the pit road, he's going to need some wet naps and some scented candles. That was definitely a Code Brown moment there. 3 seconds the difference. That's the differential between the 68 and the 07. They have swapped positions from their starting spots. That's really the only change inside the top three. Diego Rodriguez continues to have entrenched himself in that third place position. He's in the next zip code over, though. But hey, third place is still third place. And oh my God, the 42. The front of that race car is destroyed. Leroy Kobelitz. That Mustang has got pug face.
Yeah, definitely. He must have slid into some barriers or a wall at some point. Hopefully he still has his fast repair. And when we come down for our first fuel stops, which I would imagine should be happening very soon, get that fast repair and get back out there with a brand new ride and a new opportunity.
Well, if my calculations are correct, they should be able to go about 28 to 31 laps on fuel on that 65% fuel payload, which is roughly 13 gallons of Sunoco racing fuel in this next gen.
Well, if that's the case, this is going to be a one-stop race. If I'm Leroy, I'm thinking of taking that one stop now, just refilling the tank, getting that damage fixed, go out there with a brand new car, and have a head start on the cars that are going to be, kind of pulling the undercut.
Exactly. And you know what? The undercut seems to work and be a lot more effective, on the road racing side of things, or perhaps, running the race in reverse, something that Chad Knaus started, back in his heyday with Jimmy Johnson. You don't necessarily always have to, the fastest car doesn't always win on the road. And sometimes it's the team that's the smartest, that has the best strategy, that winds up in victory lane. Now, when you have a driver out on the race course as fast as some of these guys are, that could take that out of the equation. But that's one of the reasons why I love road course racing. There's so many different strategies. There's so many different ways of thinking to attack it. And a lot of times the outcome is surprising. It's shocking. It's great for us fans, and it's also great for everyone watching at home, as we now have 25 laps remaining in this one. Sean, what do you say we crank it up for the first time tonight?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right, folks, grab that dial, turn it up to kill, crank it up with us here right on Racers Elite Network. Let's do this thing. Race fans, welcome back to Racers Elite Network. Hope you enjoyed that extended Crank It Up session brought to you by GTR Simulator. And Racers Elite Network is Evan just dialed up a howitzer, a 123.55. That is a blistering lap shot.
Yeah, these guys, they're definitely getting the hang of this track. While we were gone, these guys all took fuel. I did see them take tires, so they have a brand new set of Dr. Feelgoods on them. And look at this, we have second place right on the rear end of our leader.
Evan starting to flex a little muscle. Perhaps a little bit of some mental chess game in the early going. Letting Nathan think, hey, he's going to run away with this. And then Evan starts to squeeze the trigger just a little bit more. Sean did mention all these drivers on pit road during that all-out coverage break, most of them down lap 23. Your top three being featured right here. That's Brzezowski, Evan in the 68, Diego Rodriguez. Troy Thomas in fourth was down on lap 1 after, well, for all intents and purposes, had some self-inflicted concrete poisoning. The 07
our leader gets into the wall.
I can't believe what we just witnessed. He felt the pressure. Clearly, let's go on board here with Nathan Brzezowski, who has been, for all intents and purposes, perfect. And the one time he makes a mistake, this racetrack jumps up and bites him. Watch this. Let's roll playback at speed.
And like I said, these guys just got new tires, so they're a little cold. He just hit the curbs a little wrong, and it bounced, and it just slipped out from under him.
Unbelievable.
It looks like the car is not too banged up. And especially with it being a road course, it's not as aero dependent. The car looks pretty good shape. So just cool those tires down a little bit. We do have a little crinkle there on the left front, but it's not going to bother him too much. So it's just now it's all about the recovery effort.
Right. So now you flip flop it. Now the aggressor is now the leader. Oh, the 43 of Alex Tefswan dives it into the barriers. Oh, look how close that was. Another sheet of paper type deal. Toilet paper required after this one.
Oh my.
You talk about get skinny. I mean, you got to look at this again. You know, for every time you've had a bad case of netcode, I think they made contact. I legitimately do. I think maybe netcode worked to their favor here. Watch this at quarter speed. Oh, he just barely gets through there.
Just barely missed and bounced
Oh,
off
wait
that
a minute.
wall. And good on Alex for holding his brakes in that situation.
Yeah, keeping his face buried in the rubber. However, this may be the most up-close and personal replay of the season. We're going to go on board with Alex Teft here. We're going to flip it around to his GoPro camera looking off the back bumper of his race car. Now watch what happens when Mr. Up Close and Personal comes by. So here's Alex bonsaiing into the concrete. Watch this dark horse come in here. Oh, that's about as close as you could get shot without making contact.
Yeah, the netcode gods were definitely on their in their favor, because that very easily could have been a netcode wreck.
I can't believe it wasn't. And I mean, we've seen a lot of netcode incidences, I think, in iRacing in general over the past couple weeks, and hopefully they get that sorted as we now cycle back to the live side of things. But that right there was a Christmas gift delivered early.
Now we see here the 07 who just made a mistake a few laps ago. He's right back on the tail of the 68 here. So we see him make the pass here, and oh, it gets loose coming out of it. It's so bumpy coming out of that hairpin. Getting back to the throttle is so dangerous. But let's see if he's going to come back and try to take that lead back.
Well, he has not given up. He's not going to roll over and play dead. You know, it's sometimes when you switch those positions around, that can reignite the fire. It can really energize that driver that just lost that position, especially when you have a target that you're chasing. Some drivers, just like in plate racing, some guys are better at pushing, some are better at leading. On the road course side of things, I am better if I am the aggressor, if I'm the one chasing down somebody. If I'm leading, I get nervous. My hands start to shake. I look up in my rearview mirror. I start making all the mistakes that they teach you not to back in driving school. Let's see how Nathan accepts this challenge here. And he's hanging with him. He is not pulling away that deficit less than a second, or right around 0.6 of a second.
Yeah, and if you're Evan, you're looking in your mirror. When I'm in this situation, because I'm just like you, as you were talking about, I want to be the aggressor. I want to have that rabbit to chase. And when I'm in the lead in a situation like this, or I'm in a head, oh, and he misses the corner and he gets him in the hairpin. Oh, and he did not get the run out in the 68. Gets a better run, even though I did not think we would see any fast attempts on the hairpin. So that's
surprise,
that's just showing the skill of these drivers. That's just showing the skills of these two guys out front, and that's exactly why they're out front. They're comfortable racing, and that was a heck of an attempt there by the 07.
Shades of Tony Stewart's last win at Sonoma coming into the final quarter. We're just going to watch this sequence back, and of course we were on board because that's just how our luck goes sometimes. But talk about letting it rip tater chip.
Yeah, and I wonder if that pressure just got to the 68. He just hits it a little wide. He still gets to run out of the corner, but it definitely gave Nathan a look at the inside. But all is well. If you're Evan, just keep on keeping on and try not to make those mistakes.
I mean, he got that car to rotate so tight he couldn't get back on the throttle because that car would have spun right around. And there he is, giving him the business, deploying the chrome horn just a little bit, letting him know he is there. With 15 laps to go, Andrew Teft now in this picture as he currently runs in that 5th place position.
We got lap cars. They just got by one there in the hairpin. Good on Teft for kind of letting the leaders go. We'll see what happens here going into one. It looks like they're going to be coming right up on this lap car. This could be what shapes the race. As he pulls up, he's actually going to get a slowdown penalty. I think that is Roth. Did I read that right on the hood there? So, good on him for getting out of the way. He did just give himself a slowdown penalty, but if you're getting lapped and you got, a battle for the lead, that's what you got to do. Just, tip the hat to your fellow racers. They're racing, and let them do their thing.
Hey,
as we see, the 07 got a little loose. He took way too much of those curves there.
There's a front fender just bouncing down the racetrack. I don't know if you see that or not. Yeah, you don't need that.
Yeah, you don't need those.
That's not required.
Nah.
However,
cool those brakes down with no front fender on. Cool the brakes, cool the tires. It might help. Oh, we see a car getting the barriers behind him.
Yeah, we're starting to mow down everything. We're trying to widen this course out just a little bit for the closing laps here. This is a great old-fashioned slugfest. Little Ford-out Chevrolet action. Pick your poison. I think both these guys are pretty evenly matched. The 07's going to try it again.
He makes the dive and he loops it with Meyer almost loops it, trying to get to the gas a little too quick. I did not think we would see it pass on the hairpin, but these guys have proven me wrong.
The 68 was so surprised and shocked he stepped on the hot sauce a little too hard. He made the back end stick out. The 07 stuck the launch and able to regain the lead here with 13 laps to go.
But don't count Evan out.
Absolutely not.
As we were talking about earlier, when you're in the lead, I always turn my relative off and try not to look in my mirror at all. I don't want to see, you know, if he's 0.5 or 0.4 this past lap. Ooh, he thought about making a move there. Good defense by the 07 blocking that inside lane. But he's slanging that rear end around all over the place.
He's trying to make that car as wide as a school bus. But now we flip-flop the positions again. It almost seems like who's ever the leader is at a disadvantage. But we see that
Oh yeah, absolutely.
a couple times now. We reverse these roles. However, hope you guys at home are enjoying this as much as myself and Mr. Rogers are up in the Tony Trepass Memorial broadcast booth. Before we forget to do so, let's check in with the YouTube.com live chat. Howard, good to see you, saying let's go, Evan. He getting the dub, no question. Number 68 is such a good boy. Well, clearly, Evan has got some fans rooting them on, sounding off of the YouTube.com live chat. Robert, I appreciate you being here along for the ride with us tonight.
Yeah, and you guys in the YouTube chat, I know these drivers, as a driver that's been on a lot of these races, we love having you guys chime in and rooting for us. So if your driver's out here, make sure you leave a comment, and you know, because there's nothing better after a race to see that you had some support out there in the chat.
Absolutely, and I'm telling you, I've seen it. When they know you're watching, they get up on the wheel a little bit more. They drive just a little bit harder.
Yeah, when you know you got your boys or your family watching, you can't, you know, you can't slack. You gotta show them that all those hours that we're sitting in this, you know, in our race room or wherever we may be racing, show that, hey, you know, we're actually good. We're putting on a show.
Hey, I mean, we all know who Amanda Price is. I mean, that is this man sitting behind me's #1 fan, and if she thinks Sean Rogers is slouching, she's the first one ringing the bell in the live chat, telling me to get after him. And I'm like, hey, you're closer to him than I am. But
I just use that to convince her. It's like, hey, you seen that I was running, you know, 10th last week? I didn't get too much time to practice. Maybe I need, you know, maybe an hour with the boys to run some laps.
There you go.
You don't want to see me slacking out there in public, do you?
I got to try that. I'll tell you what, these two continue to have a jousting match. And the fact that it's Ford against Chevrolet makes it even better because, hey, if you're on the blue oval team, you're fighting for the lead. If you're on the bow tie side of things, you're fighting for the lead. You're in it to win it. Toyota isn't very prominent in this league. Only a couple entries, and they're currently running in that 10th place position. Here are your TRD powered entries tonight. Alex, the Teft version, Alex, of course, Andrew's brother out of Hope Valley, Rhode Island, in the 43. Then you have Braden Honeycutt. Only Toyota entries, I believe, in the field tonight, and they are back in that 10th and just outside the 10th place position in 11th as they run stem to stern. But we got to put it back up here. He's going to try to slingshot to the outside, another block. He almost blocked him into the fence.
Tried to definitely pitch him off. He did not give the 68 an opportunity to kind of open up that corner and gave him the better run. We'll see if the 68 tries to make the same move that Brosowski did, passing him in the hairpin. He does not, but he's, look at him, just slinging it around.
This is impressive because it is not easy to do this. I mean, I was holding on for dear life, kind of tiptoe around this place, and these guys are out there just almost going drift mode and showing so much poise and control. This is incredible.
Well, even though this next gen car was kind of designed for road courses, here on iRacing, this thing is so hard to drive around here, and you are just riding on the razor's edge every single lap, and you can see it from both of these leaders here, just really pushing it for all this car is worth. They got the rear end sliding all over it. Look at them sliding all over the place. How are we gonna run here? Are we gonna have a pass on the inside?
Every time we try to go on board, they decide to change positions on the racetrack.
He's gonna get the run, but the 07 is gonna have the inside lane coming into the right-hander.
Get skinny, boys.
And that's great respect for racing. That's what we love to see. I don't want to see these guys wrecking each other. These guys are battling their hearts out and keeping it clean. That's what we love about this sport.
I'll tell you what, that gets me fired up right there. Did you see you saw the respect, the give and take, but they were literally on top of each other. Proof right there. You don't have to tear race cars up to put on a good show.
When he gets loose and he takes it off him, but it looks like the 68 is going to have a better run coming down here down the front stretch.
This was almost disastrous for both these drivers. This was a matter of maybe millimeters away from one of these guys going flow rider right round mode. Almost like a tandem drift.
Yeah, and I've been talking about it all race. The bumps, and you're in first gear coming around there. This car has the horsepower. Those rear wheels want to spin, so those bumps upset it, and he got a little loose. It looks like while we were gone, did the 07 take over the 68 again somewhere?
I'll tell you what, my producer is over here with his hair literally on fire. There's so many things you want to show, the viewers at home, but it's almost like if you look away for a second, you're going to miss something else.
Yes, there must have been a repass for the lead, but this is far from over. We're on lap 37 of 45. We're down to, what is that, 8 to go or so?
8 to go.
7 or 8 to go?
8 to go this next time by.
So these guys, the gloves are off, but if the racing that we've seen so far is any indication, these guys are going to respect each other, and hopefully we can see a good, clean battle coming down to the wire here.
Well, the other thing is too, these drivers are both pushing extremely hard right now, so they are equally wearing those Dr. Feelgoods, wearing out those tires, utilizing that fuel payload, burning through that Sunoco racing fuel quicker. These cars are only going to start to handle a little bit worse. They're going to slide a little bit more. They're going to be a little more susceptible for that back end to step out, that nose to plow on entry. So these last 8 laps is going to be really a true test of man and virtual machine. This battle, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better. I am pleasantly surprised right now. These two are putting on a show.
I guarantee you, I've been a driver in these kind of situations. These boys are sweating, sitting in their rig. They are dialed in. I've been in that spot, and like I said, you're sweating. You are so focused, laser focused, and these guys are putting on a hell of a race.
They are sweating to the oldies right now, literally. I can promise you that. This road course racing, it's a lot tougher than going out there on an oval. You're jumping on the brakes. I know we have a sequential gearbox in this car, but still, you are working as he bangs it off the wall just a little bit.
No harm, no foul, it appears. He didn't look like he lost any speed, but again, he's working those rear tires, man.
He is. I mean, these rear tires are absolutely getting treated like a redheaded stepchild right now. In both cases, the 68 and in the 07 camp, now they have a lap car in front of them.
That's going to stack back up as the 68 almost runs over the 07. I guarantee if I'm the 07, I'm in my Discord screaming a lot of bad things here. But the lap cars have every right to race their race. But he gets out of the way here and lets this battle continue.
And again, a lot of it is just timing. When do you catch him? Do you catch him in a good spot, in a bad spot? Luckily, Ed Jurgen didn't get sent into Grandma's backyard, or what I like to call that portion of the racetrack, which is the roundabout.
Yeah, that's a fountain in there, actually. So he could have been in, he could have had waterlogged that car. We'd have had to get a boat to get him out of there.
I mean, I know it says lawn care on that race car, but that is not what we're trying to do right now. Problems just in front of our leader. One of those looks like the 29 of Gary Bowman locked the tires up just in front of them. Or Leroy Kovalevich, excuse me, in the 42. That was a little bit of the tire smoke you saw in that frame. Now, Nate stretches it out a little bit here, Sean. Up to 0.8 of a second on corner entry. Did Evan burn his stuff up?
Here with this lap car. He gets out of the way, but it was able for Evan to close that gap a little bit. But if you're Evan, just keep the pressure on him. And then if you're Nathan sitting in that '07 car, turn your relative off, don't look at your mirror, hit your marks and go.
Take the rear view mirror, rip it off, throw it out the window. Keep your hands at 10 and 2, and like Sean said, stay laser focused out the front of that race car. Let your spotter do their job. You do yours, as they are literally flirting with disaster. That looked like a dirt track Friday Night Special there. You know when they just skim the wall, you see the plume of dust? That's how close they are getting to those concrete slabs at times. They are really exploring every bit of the racing surface. I can't get over how good this battle is. This is incredible. And every time
it's really gonna
go ahead.
It's gonna really come down to who doesn't make a mistake. I mean, these guys have shown that they can rip around here, but the pressure is on for both of them. If you're Evan, you're pushing really hard because you want to try to make that pass. And then if you're Nathan, you're trying not to focus on Evan behind you and hit your marks. But you know the circumstances. You know there's 5 to go. You can try to trick yourself that it's just another lap, but the pressure is on.
That doesn't
and you
work.
know that he's right on your rear end. Yeah, I've tried so many times, and pressure always, you can feel it.
It is real. You can feel the pressure. Lying to myself, I feel like only makes me worse at times. If I'm the 68 right now, let's say I did kind of overheat my tires a little bit. You have 5 laps left. Sean, do you still apply maximum pressure here and try to force this 07 to make a mistake? Or do you maybe pull a Jeff Gordon here from back in the day and let those tires try to cool down just a little bit and then make one more surge before that checkered flag flies? Which way do you prefer?
Throw the tire pressure, or the tire temps out the window.
Okay.
It's full send. You want to keep as much pressure on him as possible, because basically you're hoping that Nathan will make a mistake, knowing, with him right on his rear. Like as we were talking about that pressure, that can make mistakes. So if you're Evan, you want to keep that pressure on him for the last, the next 4 laps. And just hope for a mistake, as he's actually extended his lead to about 2nd here. I don't know if that lap car maybe played a part in it. I didn't quite catch it. But if you're Nathan, that 1 second gap, that is what you want. Because now you can breathe a little bit. You just got to maintain. You don't have to push to extend. You just got to maintain.
It's all about maintaining. And the other part is this is where the spotter, the crew chief, needs to get on the radio and just tell the driver, you don't need to push any harder. Just get comfortable, settle in, manage that gap. You have 1.5 seconds of real estate between yourself and the closest competitor to you on the racetrack. Not necessarily you want to get lackadaisical, because we've seen that be catastrophic as well at times. The driver in that 07 just needs to maintain the gap, hit your marks, execute in the braking zones, no mistakes, which would feel like the longest 4 laps of his lifetime through this very treacherous piece of this circuit. You snake through there, a hard right, a hard left, and then if you think you can't turn anymore, you literally throw every bit of steering wheel in that race car and come around that corner blind. Hopefully that the path is clear, and then once you do that, you are in drag race mode for all intents and purposes. Hammer down, wait till that baby tacks out, slap a gear all the way up to 5th, and as soon as that baby tacks out, you see red, you're jumping on the binders for all they're worth, getting ready for that treacherous turn 1. I mean, this racetrack does not give you a chance to take a break shot.
No, absolutely. These guys are constantly, some guys do paddles, some guys have a sequential shifter. These are either reaching down or constantly flipping through gears, constantly flipping the throttle, constantly hard on the brakes. So they are working hard in there. And if you're, Nathan hanging out in the lead, everybody says, you want to take it easy. I actually have always taken the approach, I want to drive my, hard laps, because when I start getting lackadaisical, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, that's when you're going to hit a corner a little different. Maybe you're a little off speed. Maybe you hit a little, as he takes those curves there as he comes through. This is a tough section. We're going to see him slamming down into first here, coming through the hairpin. Look at him. He's almost turning that wheel all the way around. And he gets a little loose. And
Look who's on
that
his
has
back
allowed
door.
Evan to get right back on his rear end.
These two
That's what I was
guys,
saying about applying the pressure. Just a small little mistake.
that little bit of a hiccup has just reignited the inferno. Oh my
Oh,
God!
and we got a lap car playing. Oh, and it looks like, what is that, the 57 kind of got mixed up coming out of the pits in the skirmish, but it didn't break up these guys. They are right on each other still.
Aaron Robb went full-blown Baja mode into Grandma's Fountain. He's out of the way. A change of a race suit, and he'll be all right as he tiptoes through there. I don't know how these guys have avoided catastrophe several times this race. This is incredible. I mean, Hollywood could not script this any better.
He tail slaps the barriers, as I was mentioning that, those tire barriers are about 2 foot off that concrete wall. He tail slapped it, and that cost him a little bit. As we come in here to the penultimate lap, yeah, we're coming to the white flag.
Popsicle sticks in the air. Time is running out. The Portland man in second place, driving for all he is worth right now. Matching that effort, the new guy, Nathan Brzezowski, started second place in outside front row, currently carries the torch and the lead. He's going to open it up now to about 7/10, now 8/10 of a second, as he now squeezes back onto the brake pedal. Hard left, now go back to a hard right-hander. Through Grandma's backyard for the final time. Clean. Little bit of a tail slide there.
Yeah, you're going to have to send it if you're Evan. You only got a couple more passing opportunities. Oh, and he gets a little loose. Looks like maybe he had a little issue coming up through the gears there. I'm not sure. But that's going to cost him. You got so few opportunities left. You got to really send it if you want to make a run at this.
You're going to have to try to dial up a Hail Mary coming in to Parts Corner if you're the 68, or hope for a mistake.
And he sends it, and you can see how much he gained on braking there.
He said it in their Bon Jovi style, living on a prayer, and he stuck it. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough, as we're going to John Force special all the way to the end, single file. And Nathan Brzezowski is going to come to Long Beach, and he is going to dial up a perfect performance and take the checkered flag. But hey, you cannot discount what the Ford and that Dark Horse did out there as well. That was an epic battle, one that will be remembered here in Racers Elite for a long time, as Brzezowski wins the juggernaut battle here at the front. The 68 comes home second, and I feel bad we didn't get to talk about you that much, Diego Rodriguez, but hey, a podium is a podium, my friend. He's going to come home third. Mr. Rogers, that was spectacular stuff from those two drivers.
What a treat we got from those two guys. It's a shame that one of them had to finish second. Each of them drove well enough to win the race. But yeah, that's absolutely spectacular driving. And I emphasized this earlier, the respect that those two showed for each other, not cleaning each other out even when they were racing hard. And that's what this league's all about. That's what racing all about. And so it was good to see that. And a very well-deserved win by Nathan.
Well, virtually, a lot of the other competition on the racetrack had a tough go of this place. These two guys had it figured out, as Cletus McFarland would stay dialed from the drop of the green flag, and they put on a primetime thriller. You know, I bet if you're the 68 right now, you probably feel a little dejected, but you got to keep your head up. That was still, as you said, a superb drive. As now Brzezowski gets ready to burn the rest of the rubber off of those Dr. Feelgoods, and why not? You don't need it anymore. Get gone. as he burns it down.
And make sure those people in Los Angeles, when they're driving to work tomorrow, see some donuts there on the street.
That's right. And again, not a lot of real estate really to do with burnout. You can see just how tight this racetrack is.
There's a will, there's a way. Burn them down.
Hey, just crank that brake bias all the way forward, and let it eat. As he smokes out everybody. Here on the front stretch, where all the grandstands are, very similar to how the configuration is in Chicago, at least around the start-finish line, that is.
I haven't seen that much smoke in Long Beach since Snoop Dogg.
I've been to Long Beach a couple times, but that was back in the military days, and places change so fast. However, I think he blew the motor. He literally said it until there was no tomorrow, as we now switch the post-race coverage here on Racers Elite Network. Driver interviews, final thoughts, and more just around the corner. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
Here at TWRS, we're always here to help our squad when they need a little push in the right direction. That's just who we are. We're a beautifully diverse group of goofballs dedicated to driving fake race cars as fast as possible. And we continue to push each other to the front using the power of nonsense. We have one of the strongest NASCAR programs on the service, and you can access it all for $24.99 a month. And we just released individual subscriptions for $14.99 a month for each NASCAR vehicle. We also just added a Rallycross program, and our IndyCar program is taking off as well. So come join the weird side. We have speed and cookies. Cookies are not included in some locations.
Race fans, welcome back to Racers Elite Network. As we just witnessed some of the most high-flying, high-octane racing action that I have ever witnessed up in the booth between two new guys to the series. Look at the orange, ominous glow from the rotors. What a battle. Only one can win, unfortunately. And in this case, I feel like both those drivers very deserving. But hey, it's a competition. Only one can be the victor, and that was Nathan Brzezowski. Golly, I did not expect that. What a pleasant surprise. And I know I said that already, Sean, but you never know. Really, I mean...
Yeah, well, the tendency of these road races is they can get really strung out, but we were gifted with a really intriguing battle for the lead.
I figured, and I like the logic. Hey, you know what? This is a track that Cup wouldn't even really think of running. I mean, if you go back a couple years, you wouldn't think Chicago either, but yet here we are. But these drivers probably don't have a lot of experience on the Cup side of things running this circuit. So the fact that we had 19 drivers take the initial green flag, give us a 2-mile course, I figured, it would get pretty strung out at times. And perhaps a little bit of a struggle to keep it lively, keep the conversation flowing, keep people engaged. But my God, did we get it wrong. We probably could have used 5 more people on the camera just to cover the battle up here at the point. And I mean, it was good. It was... Hollywood couldn't have scripted that any better as we now switch to driver interviews here on Red Line Racing Network. We have Diego Rodriguez, Evan, and Nathan Brzezowski standing by. Joining me now in the Tony Trapassa Memorial broadcast booth, all this man does is seem to podium. Diego Rodriguez, welcome back. Matt and Sean up top, you got a copy, buddy?
Yeah, I do.
Diego, with the way these two drivers between second and first drove their tails off this evening, I almost feel bad because wasn't able to give you the screen time that you deserved tonight. Man, you came home with a solid third place finish, clean execution out there on the racetrack. That car seemed, or that dark horse seemed like it was vibing really well with the racing surface. How treacherous was it out there? And ultimately, how were you able to survive this very difficult circuit and come home with a podium finish today?
Yeah, I'll say that my car was not vibing with the track. It was the opposite. This car does not handle well on bumpy tracks like this. If you go to, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, they handle fine, but not on tracks like these, in my opinion. The track is super narrow. It's like driving a tank through New York City, in my opinion. And I don't know, I just kind of ran my race. I wasn't really worried about being fast. I just wanted to finish. I knew some guys who weren't as good on the road first lap. I just, and then after 10-15 laps, I was able to keep up with the first two, and then I'm not sure what happened with me, but they flipped a switch. I started falling back, and the whole race they were close to each other. I didn't see them, but it was just about keeping the car alive and then getting through the pit stop. That's about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was trying to be optimistic, but, since you put it that way, you're right. I ran a couple laps out there. It felt like I was Baja, like one of those off-road short course trucks. Just my helmet was constantly slamming off the top of the race car. It was anything but easy. However, you had this thing at least planted in a lot better than the majority of the competition. At least you were able to make the corners. You really didn't have a lot of intricate up close and personal moments with the concrete out there. How narrow is it out there on this racetrack? A lot of these corners seem to be blind and intimidating, and a lot of times it seems like you really don't know what's on the other side until you get there.
Yeah, there's certain parts of the track that are narrower than others, and some are wider. A lot of the turns are very fast and 90-degree turns, so if you take them too wide, you'll go to the outer wall, but if you, take it too shallow, you'll probably hit the wall with your left front or right front. But it's just a really narrow track, and then when you get side by side with someone, it's even harder because, you can't move them and they are there. But the whole race, I was by myself pretty much. I didn't have to worry about going side by side.
And you know what? Sometimes that's a good thing when you don't have that pressure. You don't have competition breathing down your neck. You can just go out there and execute and get yourself a solid points evening. And that's exactly what you did for that 20 machine. Before I cut you loose, as always, who do you want to thank? Who helps you get it done on the Ford?
Yep, you guys always put on a good broadcast every race. Andrew hosts a really good league. And I gotta thank my parents. They are the ones who let me do this, and they enjoy watching me do it. That's it.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Took it for a Sunday drive out here at Long Beach. May have to get a couple fillings fixed after all is said and done from all the bumps out there, but hey, no harm, no foul, and easy. Third place finish. Sunday money, now Thursday money in the 20. Is this man always in the conversation? That is the one and only Diego Rodriguez. Thanks for joining me up here in the booth. You have yourself a great rest of the week, my friend.
Yep, thank you.
And, Sean, he said it best. Hey, not a lot of action going on around me. I was pretty much just doing my thing. And sometimes that's just what the doctor ordered. He comes home third. Really can't ask for much better.
No, when you're in a podium place, you absolutely are fine with
Exactly.
running around. If you're running around by yourself with no pressure from fourth or anything, that's exactly what you want.
Now, this is where it's going to get interesting. These two drivers we're about to interview. Joining me now, our second place driver. Once again, a new guy to the series, continues to light up the scoreboard. He's done it on the super speedways, the intermediates, and now on the road side of things. Evan, my God, my man, you were lit out there. Walk me through that race that was a war you guys had going out there. That was insane.
That was definitely one of the most exhausting and just mental game races I've ever had in iRacing. I mean, our lap times were almost identical
Yes,
the
sir.
entire race. And I don't know, there was just nothing more that I could give.
You know, you're echoing what Sean was saying when you guys were in the heat of it. He said, these guys are worn out. They are sweating. They are mentally taxed. Their cars are being pushed to the brink. And I mean, it wasn't like this battle just kind of manifested itself with a couple laps to go. I mean, you guys were going round. It was a heavyweight bout from the start of the bell, like in a boxing ring, and you guys just went relentless. What was it like out there when you guys would exchange the leads, when it seemed like that momentum would shift, and then it almost seemed like when you got put back into that second place position, it kind of re-energized, you know, either you or Nathan were able to run the other back down. I mean, then you had that lap traffic. I mean, there was times when you guys almost both were KO'd, knocked out of this race, a couple inches one way or the other, and you guys were gone. What were those moments like?
Yeah, there was typical times where cars were coming out of the pits or missed the braking zone, and I held my breath. Just kind of saw what happened, and then it is what it is. But yeah, Nathan would get by me. I mean, he passed me on the outside, so he deserved it. I mean, I honestly thought when I held the inside there in turn 1, when he went around me, that, yep, this is my corner, and then I'll have to deal with him on exit of the carousel. But nope, he went right around me. He just had a great race, and that was it. I mean, can't get any cleaner, more respectful than that.
No, and that's, you know, you're reading my mind, and that's something that, you know, Sean touched on a lot. The amount of respect that you guys displayed for one another was clearly, without question, presented a lot of times out there on the racetrack. Talk to me about that blind hairpin corner, turn 11. I mean, we didn't think we would see any passing attempts there, and my God, did you guys prove us wrong? What was it like trying to make, I mean, aggressive, you know, we'll call it dive bomb maneuvers in the corner, I mean, several times for you two guys, and yet you never touched once. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, I will say we were pretty even throughout the entire track. I was a little bit better in turn 1, but he was definitely better on entrance and exit of the hairpin. And I just tried to hold my own, get the power down as quick as I could, but I mean, it was a wheel spin all the way through third gear in that corner. And I don't know how we didn't touch. It's just a miracle, I guess.
There's you know, if you go back and watch this broadcast, you know, you're chasing so many different things, pieces of data, you know, the difference, lap times, tires. There's probably a couple things that you may have missed out there. You know, just other competitors, how close they were to you at times. I mean, you were gifted a miracle at one point. One car, I forget who it was in front of you, basically swan dived it into the barrier. Sean, was it turn 1 where that happened?
Yeah, that was Calamity Corner.
Calamity
night.
Corner. I mean, the back of your race car, it probably wasn't a millimeter. I mean, we watched it from the GoPro cam from the other car. I mean, Hollywood would have a tough time scripting a race to compare to what you guys just did at the virtual Long Beat. I mean, you got to be pumped up. That was a heck of a run. Do you think if you guys can reset and go back out there, let's say have a 5-lap shootout, just, you know, for bragging rights, or hey, just to go out there and do it again, would you change anything different, or would you go out there and attack it the same way?
If I would attack everything the same way, maybe take care of my rear tires a little bit better, and focus on the turn 11 exit, and that's about it.
Well, let me tell you something. I didn't even know this track existed till about 2 hours ago. I put it out there and tried to complete a lap. That was treacherous for me. That turn 11, I don't know how you guys even make the corner. I come through there. I mean, I got all the wheel in the world in it, and I still hit the barrier. I mean, you guys hit it, and you just flip the back end of the race car around, and off you go. I mean, that's just a testament to the skill that, you know, you guys have behind the wheel. It's a lot more difficult than it looks. and you guys just lit it up in prime time. Congratulations. Before I cut you loose, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done on the 68?
Thank Hometown Garage. Thank Nash Pointer Designs for the wonderful paint scheme. Again, he did my truck as well. Thank my girlfriend. Thank my buddies from college. Rob is watching. I know Rob's watching. And that's about it. And thank you guys for broadcasting. You guys do a great job every night.
Hey, we appreciate that. And how about this guy behind the wheel tonight, giving it everything that he had for a juggernaut battle of the ages at Long Beach? That is the driver of the 68 out of Portland, Connecticut. Appreciate your time, and hopefully we're speaking with you again really soon.
Yeah, hopefully I see you guys after Pocono, but we'll see.
Hey, man, the way it's going for you right now, I mean, you got the momentum, you got the confidence, everything you want as a driver, it's gelling for you, it's vibing. I see you got a really good shot at talking to you again after the Tricky Triangle. So, folks, make sure you stick around with us right here next week. If you monitor 68, everyone else's performance here, going to go ahead and put you back down in the waiting room, and he even brought himself back to the waiting room. Sean, this guy is a class act. Certainly last but not least, Nathan. Did you think at the drop of the green flag you were going to have a battle like that for the win?
Not really, I would say. I felt really confident around here in my road course ability. So I wouldn't say that I would have that good of a battle, but I would say we got some good TV for you guys.
That's an understatement. I am so lit. Rogers is basically scraping himself off the floor over here for about the last 20 minutes. You said road course racer. So do you have experience at this racetrack or this circuit outside of cup racing? It seems like you really know how to get around this place. How long have you been racing here, and what other cars have you drove on this surface?
I mean, I've been racing here for around 2 years. So like, GT3s, basically every kind of endurance car that you can think of, like formula cars and stuff like that. So I know like every bump around here. It's a different beast in this car. So you just got to learn it in this style.
I mean, both of you guys seem like you've had a lot of practice here. You had the experience. How does this Cup car differ from, you mentioned the GT2s, the GT3s, the open wheels? What were some of the biggest challenges? What were some of the, what did you experience that was, difficult making that transition from an open wheel car that's a lot lighter to a stock car with a higher center of gravity, a lot more girth and body mass, and quite frankly, a lot more weight? What were the challenges for you?
Well, in a GT3 car and those kind of cars, they're very like aero dependent. So you can easily just drive it into the corner super hard because the aero is going to help you corner. But in this car, it's a completely different animal. You can't really drive it in deep. You kind of have to drive it in soft and use the brakes and the throttle to help you corner around here. And then also in the Cup car, the tires are like very heat sensitive. So once you kind of push past the limit, you get punished for it for the next 10 laps.
And it seemed like, that punishment you're referring to, that you were up for the challenge, so was the 68. I mean, your rotors were glowing like lava out of a volcano at about 2 o'clock in the morning, but the difference is we're broad daylight. I mean, that car was on the brink of slip and grip, for the entirety of this race, and yet you walked that fine line better than anybody. That was an impressive drive. What a statement win from you. God help us the next time we come to a road course. I know where my money's going. I'm lost for words. I didn't anticipate that type of a battle. I mean, Hollywood, I don't think could have gotten any better. Sean is still trying to catch his breath over there. I mean, you KO'd a pretty good iRacer here, in my opinion. But, my God, who do you want to thank who helps you get it done? The floor is yours, my friend.
I want to thank Zach Lockett, everybody at Team Adrenaline. I put my dog down a week ago, so I kind of want to dedicate this one to him.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, it's hard, but I'm dedicating this one to him. Just want to thank Pro Rental America, everybody over there for helping me and sponsoring this car. know.
Well, I'll tell you what, Pro America, you had a pro behind the wheel tonight, and Nathan Brzezowski, unfortunately, had a good friend, lifelong companion, pass away earlier. Wants to dedicate this performance and this win. And Sean, a lot of times when you have that adversity, you have trouble in your life, and we see this over the course of professional sports in real life and on the virtual side of things, it just helps elevate you to an all-new level. And Nathan was on point from the drop of the green flag, laser-locked, hyper-focused, and did not skip a beat. Heck of a job. Well-deserved win, brother, and I hope we speak to you again really soon.
I hope so too. Hopefully Daytona next week.
Absolutely. Keep it going, my man.
Thank you.
And Sean, how about the boys? I mean, that guy was just out there. I mean, he was getting the workout of a century. He jumps up in the booth like, hey, it's just another day and walk in the park.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how us crazy iRacers are. We're wired. We have a crazy battle. You kind of shake it off, and it was obvious. He just mentioned that he lost his dog, unfortunately, but that was a man driving inspired. You definitely seen it out there on the track tonight.
Without a doubt. I mean, when I get out there, I'm like,
Then I get all excited. I'm like JoJo, the idiot circus boy with a pretty new pet.
when I run that well. But that's because it's far few and in between. But hey, nonetheless, what a way to spend your Thursday evening with us here on Racers Elite Network. You definitely got your bandwidth usage worth right up or right with here, or oh my God, with us right here on Racers Elite Network. Sean, I'm going to ask you, final thoughts, closing. What do you expect next week, especially after coming off some of the best road racing we've seen all year?
Well, we've seen a battle of two cars battling on road, but for the most part, the field was pretty strung apart. Next week at Daytona, there is not going to be any stringing apart. It's going to be side-by-side, three-wide racing. We're going super speedway racing, so it's going to be completely different, and I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I might pull the old switcheroo with Jeff Taylor and throw him up here with you and sneak down there into the race car.
No, I want to sneak down to the race car.
You know what? You might just have to be the in-race reporter for that one, if you get me.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'll broadcast. Just keep tossing me questions while I'm running in line three wide. We'll
Yeah.
see. You might get some really, stumbly answers, but we'll get there.
One of us will have to get out there on the racetrack just to keep it interesting. I know you and I both
We'll
love
both do it.
You and I both love plate racing. You, of course, kicked off your season over on the SNN side of things with a big win at Daytona. And, hey, we're coming back to the big house, and Sean will be fired up next week. I'll always be lit as we now have to close things down for the evening as we watch the 07 burn it down, as he earned that right as we were treated to a thriller here in primetime. Got to thank all the admins, sponsors, strategic partners, GTR Simulator, Andrew Tepp for all the hard work and dedication and everything he does behind the scenes for Racers Elite. If you think you got what it takes to be out there, mixing it up with these guys, don't wait, don't hesitate. Get in the Discord, get with the admins. We will make sure we get you out there each and every time we load the cars up on the racetrack, and most of the time it is 7 nights of racing action right here on Racers Elite, the only place you need to be for all the high-octane, high-flat iRacing action. And as the late, great Tony Trapasso used to say, as you walk down the road of life this week, do us all a favor, don't play in traffic, and we'll see you next time right here on Racers Elite Network.
Oh yeah, I had a good time. Yeah, we got a good race. I critique myself. I'm gonna watch this back tomorrow and be like, Sean, you Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, no, I enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm glad I was there for some of the track knowledge. I think I added some really good stuff there. that's No, I had a lot of fun. That was great. I gotta keep work on fucking when I start a point and realize halfway through like I don't have a landing spot. Oh, I guess that'll work. Appreciate it.